draw us to a close, I want to share one more with you. One more Christmas ghost, one more shade from the past. This one's not from 2,000 years ago, though. It's a little more recent, but it's a favorite memory of mine. A favorite ghost, if you will. It's about a family that was taking a trip, a very long trip. And because it was a very special trip, they had planned it out meticulously. Flying from one place to another to connect with an international flight and then flying out somewhere else. It was all timed out with the precision of a space launch or an invasion. That's how it was planned. And then on the day that it started, everything came apart. The plane they were supposed to be on, the flight, was canceled. So they got booked on another flight that didn't go to the city where they were going to pick up their next flight, but went to one about 60 miles away. And that flight was late. So they got to the other end. Baltimore it was. A fine city to go through. And the mother and the father and the daughter and their 11 pieces of luggage all were crammed into this Subaru station wagon and driven from Baltimore to Dulles International Airport through Washington, D.C. traffic at dinner time. It went about as well as you might think. And as they looked at their watches and looked at the traffic, they began to pray that they were going to make it. And they kept praying the whole way, and it was over an hour trip. So it was that as they pulled up, and they spilled out of this little Subaru wagon, them and their 11 pieces of luggage, and they dragged them all up. The plane was departing. I'm sorry, the ticket agent said, but you're late. And they said, but we have to be on that plane. It's an important trip. We have to get to our destination. And the agent said, well, then you shouldn't have been late. They insisted that they do something for them, though, and the ticket agent told them to just go sit down and they'll see if they could work something out. So they went and they sat down. They looked like refugees. 3 dejected-looking people and their luggage just sitting in the middle of this terminal while Christmas music played on the PA. People bustled around them. And they prayed and they watched the clock and they didn't know what was going to happen, but everything was just coming apart. And the father went up to the ticket agent again and he said, you know, we've got to be there Monday. You have to do something to help us. And the ticket agent said, I know, but you were late. So go have a seat and we'll see if anything can be done. And he went back and they sat and they prayed. He went back to the ticket agent again and was told the same thing. They were going to see if there was anything. And as they sat there and they listened to the Christmas music and the announcements and looked at all of the happy people around them, well, they knew that everything that they had planned for months was just falling apart. They suddenly started to think that this must be the place where dreams came to die. One more time, Father went up to the ticket counter. And he did at this time, the ticket agent beckoned for somebody else, and a woman came out, and she was introduced as the assistant station manager for Aeroflot, Elvis. They couldn't get the manager, but they had the assistant manager. And once he introduced the two, then the ticket agent just sort of washed his hands of it, glad to be done. He wasn't going to be bothered by the people anymore. So the father explained the situation to her in great detail, and she listened carefully, and she looked at his tickets. And when he was all done, she shook her head and said, "You were late. The plane had to take off. There was nothing else that could be done." So he asked about another flight, and he was told that there wouldn't be another one to their destination until the following Friday. Sorry. But if you'd like to call the customer service office on Monday, they might be able to help you somehow. And he said, "No, we have to be there Monday." And the manager, assistant manager, just shook her head and explained there was nothing she could do. Her hands were tied. Very quietly and carefully, desperately, he said, "That's not going to do. We have to be there on Monday." At this point, the assistant manager went back and talked to the ticket agent for a moment, and then she came back and she told the man to come with her. They were going to go back to the office. As they walked through the airport to the office, he began to suspect that he was being taken away so there wouldn't be a scene in the lobby. And they entered the office, which was a pretty grand word for it. It was kind of like a closet with a desk and a couple chairs. The manager indicated a seat, and the guy sat down. She sat down behind the desk, and she started fiddle with the computer while he sat there. He watched her for a minute or two, and then he just started to recount everything that had happened that day. The canceled flight, the late flight, the missed flight. He told her everything, and while he talked, she just kind of fiddled on the computer and typed and do things he wasn't even sure she was listening. But that was one of those moments in time. It was one of those moments where a handful of futures is kind of balanced on the head of a pin. Waiting. And then I firmly believe God reached out and he touched the future that he wanted to have happen. Because the man stopped talking, and the assistant station manager for Aeroflot looked at him and smiled. And it was a ridiculous thing to do, given everything that had happened that day. But she looked at him and she smiled and said, "You're a really lucky guy." Because there were still 3 seats left on the Delta flight out of New York that leaves tomorrow. You got it. Spend the night here, we'll fly up on the shuttle tomorrow, and we'll be in Moscow by Sunday. And we were. By Sunday afternoon, we were in Moscow. By Sunday night, we were on a flight to Krasnodar, which was a joy in itself. It was a couple of 100-mile flight. And the next day, we got to meet our son for the first time. And in a whirlwind day, we went to court, and he became part of our family. There were still some interesting moments on that trip. We kind of pretty much coasted from there. Pretty much everything bad that could happen had happened, so we felt pretty confident. We flew back to Moscow on Tuesday. We went to the embassy on Wednesday. We got the papers we needed for him to leave the country and to enter the U.S. on Thursday. Now, Friday morning, no canceled flights, no late flights. And Friday morning, we left Moscow. And we were on our way home. And so it was that on Christmas Eve of 1999, we arrived home. And he got to spend his very first night in his very own room with his very own cat. That's my favorite Christmas memory. It's Christmas ghost that our family shares. Now tonight I'm passing it on to my new family. I'm passing it on because I firmly believe God works miracles. He works miracles every day. Sometimes they're big and flashy, like the parting of the Red Sea or the feeding of the 5,000. Or Bart Starr's quarterback sneaks with 13 seconds left in the NFL championship game, December 31st, 1967. More often than not, they're small. Like God touching a single human heart. They're small, but they change a lot of lives. And they change a lot of futures. God loves us. That's what we celebrate on Christmas. We celebrate a love so deep and so unimaginable that God would send his own Son to live and live among us. God proves that love by giving us the gift of Christ in redemption, by making grace available to us every day. God proves it by loving us every day. And in turn, it is our job to share that love with others. Any day, every day, however we can. We never know, like that station manager, assistant station manager, we never know when the thing we do will forever change someone's life and give them a new future. So it's my prayer for us that we'll go forward tonight and tomorrow and into the new year with the love of Christ and warm memories of Christmas in our hearts. And we'll go with the promise of even better Christmases in the future. So Merry Christmas and Amen.